Tactical debrief, Justin. Tactical debrief. Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. Villa fans, enjoy every single second about what we're about to show you on this show. So if you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing, smash the likes. We can easily get over 1,000 on this. So when I check back later, I want to see that 1K mark on the likes. And more importantly, comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. Ever since I got home, Justin, I have had repeat after repeat after repeat of Villa highlights. That Onana goal, it's so aesthetically pleasing. It's just, I don't just keep going back to like the limbs of when it hit the back of the net. But yeah, how you feeling the day after, mate?
Incredible. I mean, we're up early doing this because you said you fancy doing one. I said, yeah, let's get up and do it. I couldn't sleep. I watched it again last night. It's such an amazing time to be a Villa fan. And, you know, when you have a day after or the morning after, the day after a game like that, it's amazing to sit down now and talk about it because there's so much to talk about. We could do a 3-hour debrief, I reckon, on this game. But like the Maatsen goal, I remember it being a really good move, but it was just phenomenal. The movement, the passing, the swiftness of back to front, and what a finish from a left back. I was waxing lyrical about the PSG left back and right back, but Ian Maatsen was absolutely outstanding. And that's what you want out of modern fullbacks, isn't it? A player that can do that. So yeah, Onana and Ramsey off the bench and impacted immediately, as we've seen. We've all seen the strength of the bench, but game after game after game, we're now seeing the benefit of having this stacked bench. So yeah, just incredible performance. The stats and everything you look at is just positive, isn't it? I just think where we started this podcast, where we are now. I don't think any of us really, dreamed of being here 2 years, whatever it is after Unai came in. But yes, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Destruction of Newcastle.
I'll mention what I've put on the thumbnail. Maatsen Unai. That basically means that Maatsen has been in the school of Unai Emery, and it's a lesson for us all, not really to judge players straight away that come into Aston Villa. Yes, we want them to hit the ground running, but there's so much that goes into a given player adapting to life under Unai Emery. So Maatsen, for me, has gone on from strength to strength, and we can see now his development and how good he is now. And I think the same will go for Marlon as well. Like, yes, he's not playing. Yes, he scored goals, but his time in this Unai Emery team will come eventually. So, right. A couple of things tactically I want to just touch on before we get into the goals and breaking all of the goals down. This was a tactical masterclass from Unai Emery. It was absolutely brilliant. And when we talk about a tactical masterclass, we can all see that Villa have a style of play, how we go about doing things, what we expect from the left back, the right back, the double pivot, what we expect from the player that supports the striker, the player off the right, how we expect the player on the left to play. But a tactical masterclass, it can alter the way in which we play. And Unai I'm blown away by this game plan from Unai Emery. So I'll break it down to start with. So what we saw here, this is the average positions from Aston Villa. Now, you can notice, where's the wide right player? We didn't play with one. We didn't want to utilize the wide right player on the right. And it was all about creating overloads all over the pitch. So an overload is where two players will be going up against one player. So you then have the majority of the dominance in that given area. And what this meant is that Aston Villa were able to swamp and compete with the Newcastle United midfield. And it was just something that happened time and time again. And it's such a good tactic from Emery to be able to just dominate the middle of the pitch. It's absolutely amazing. We'll go through it. We'll break it down. I'll go into this in more detail. But the average positions from Villa looked like this, which is just absolutely mental to see this game plan work. And what you can see is that we had a real direct nature about us. You can see that we targeted their right back. Trippier was targeted all game and all of their right-hand side. Every single goal that Aston Villa scored came down Villa's left and Newcastle's right. And what we was able to do as well by creating these overloads is because Newcastle United went man for man, it meant that if we overloaded on that sort of our left-hand side and dragged a player out with us, then we created space in the middle of the pitch. And because we had so many players that were central, it meant that we were able to get on the ball and find space and quickly find players as well. So Villa's passing network, again, very left-hand side heavy, not much on the right-hand side. And we can see that Emi Martinez's kicking was into Tielemans, it was into Watkins, it was into those central areas. And I think sometimes distribution from a keeper, it can sometimes be very loose. It can just be hit and hope. But I think Martinez's kicking yesterday was absolutely tremendous. It was pinpoint perfection. And we can't really sort of just sleep on Martinez's kicking because he had such a massive role to play. So, Justin, what did you make of sort of Villa's overall game plan against Newcastle?
Yeah, I think I said it on the preview that thought this was a really good game for us to be playing after PSG. Not only I think we played better against better sides, I think that coming up against that PSG midfield, which was outstanding, and having to find a way to compete and not only compete but dominate to a point where we win the game, with perfect sort of preparation for the Newcastle midfield because they have been very, very good. Tonali, Gilmaresh, and Joelinton, they were a good three. And we had to come up with a way of, again, stopping them and dominating them. And I loved that box midfield we played against PSG. And to a point, we sort of replicated a little bit, although with different personnel. So, he dropped, Anana came out and Asensio came in. So he's more of an attacking outlet rather than an Anana, but it still sort of worked that way. And you look at that passing network and the average positions, those four really dominated in the middle, didn't they? And we've seen this return a little bit to like this false right back position where we sort of play three at the back and allow the left back, which is Matsson's natural game, to go forward. But what we haven't seen when in this false right back, it's usually like a Konsa or a Disasi playing there because they make up that sort of defensive solidity. We saw that with Cash yesterday, and that again feeds into what we were saying after the game, pre-game, that Cash's game is improving. He's been here a long time and he's having to adapt to a new way of playing. And if he can adapt to playing that position as well, he's adding another string to his bow and he becomes even more important to us, doesn't he? So I think it's really important to sort of look at these statistics after a game and it gives you that insight into, the mindset of the manager. But, we left Pau Torres not even on the bench yesterday and he was one of the best players on the pitch for me against PSG. And not only is he a really good defender, but the use of the ball out from the back, it's invaluable in big games. Yeah, I thought Tyrone Mings just slotted in there perfectly, and you can see he's trying to do that, play that role again, and he might not be quite as good as Pau Torres, but he does use the ball really, really well, and I think he's sort of undervalued in that respect. We all talk about him being an out-and-out defender and he's good in the air, but he's really good on the ball as well. He has improved. Another one that's improved, and it's a recurring theme, isn't it? Improved. All we ever talk about, he's improved. You started with the Maatsen conversation. Totally agree. He's been unlucky that Luca D's been phenomenal form this season, but he's improved. It's allowed him that time to breathe, to focus, to take on board all this information. And the last point will be, I agree with you totally on Emi Martinez. His distribution has always been very good, but yesterday we saw a different type of distribution out from the back. He did go longer a bit more because I think there was, I think as Ollie Watkins alluded to after the game, he wanted to isolate Shah and to go one-on-one with him a lot. And I think that was the plan, to get the ball over to Ollie as much as possible, to run at him, especially when Shah got on the yellow card. But we also saw Emi Martinez dinking the ball into centre midfield. Not long or short, just like a short dink over the top. So it was just incredible to watch.
Don't worry, I'll get it. I'm gonna show you it. I'm gonna show you it. Right, so
Might know you've got it already lined up.
This was Villa's first touch and one of our most important, because it set the tone for the whole game. Boubacar Kamara being dominant, being aggressive, and just winning that first ball. But we not only did that, we won the second one. We not only did that, we won the third one. And this completely set that tone of the game. Winning your individual battles, winning your duels, being aggressive, and taking command of the game. And what all of this allowed us to do was play a ball into the channel. Ollie Watkins tirelessly running for the ball, doing all of that hard work. And all of this helps create that first goal, because the ball then goes to Yuri Tielemans. And note where Ollie Watkins is. He's in that position there. He wants the ball, play it through there. A brilliant pass from Tielemans. I mean, the pass is just brilliant. But what we did is we just mopped everything up. And then we played that ball. And Ollie Watkins got his shot off. And it was deflected and went in the back of the net. But, it's a big goal for Villa, because against Newcastle, you have to be aggressive. And we did that, Justin. And I think that's what really pleased me.
Yeah, I think coming off the back of what was a monumental performance on Tuesday, I was praying that we'd start the game, on the front foot and having a go at them. And that goal just lit the touch paper, didn't it, for the game? And it was fantastic. Yuri Tielemans, I mean, I could spend an hour talking about him. And we all know how important Kamara is to us, and we all start saying he's brilliant. But honestly, I think Yuri Tielemans has been our best midfielder all season.
Do you know,
and
do you know
in
what?
fact, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And I said last night, surely he has to be in the running for PFA Player of the Year, because I can't think of another player that's consistently played as many minutes as he has at the highest level that he's playing at. He's just incredible. He's incredible.
What I find amazing about him is the freedom he's got. He's got freedom to, and to be honest, his footballing IQ is very, very good. So when he picks up these little positions, and he's very clever, like he reads the game very, very well, and I think the very good players are able to do that. But the freedom that allows him to have is just brilliant. Yeah, his tactical IQ is just incredible, and that partnership with him and Kamara, they're sort of like just like telepathic, really. It's brilliant. Would you say? And it's probably a tough question, but what would you say it was better, Tielemans and Kamara, or Kamara and Luiz?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've got two points written down here. The first one was Luiz and Kamara. We all not worried, but the impact that Luiz had on this team, we all knew it, and we was all disappointed to see him go. We understood the reasoning, but we all thought, okay, he's left a huge hole in that double pivot. But we had players that we thought could come in and step up and fill that gap. And for me, I'm going to call it. I think he's had a bigger impact. And I can't believe I'm saying it, because I thought Douglas Luiz was incredible for us. I mean, the other thing I've written down was the only other player I've seen in my lifetime that I could compare him to, playing at this level, and the ability he has, was Sid Cowans. Now, he was one of my all-time favourite players. Anybody that saw Sid play would say that he was one of the best Villa midfielders we've ever had. The only thing Sid could do better than Yuri is that he was equally as good on both feet. You know, Sid would pick out a pass with his right foot 50 yards over the top, and he'd also pick one out with his left foot 50 yards over the top. I don't think Yuri is quite as good on his weaker side, but that's no disrespect to him. But he's incredible. He does everything. He's good in the air. He tackles. He gets around the pitch. He's wonderful on the ball. His ability to pick a pass is fantastic. He stuffs out danger, which is very important to playing in that double pivot, which Louise, was really good defensively, but I think Yuri's just as good. We're very lucky to have him, and to think we had him on a free transfer and Leicester fans were saying he was finished. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just incredible.
brilliant. Yeah, brilliant from the Villa guys to be able to entice him at that time as well, because we weren't a Champions
Yeah.
League club. It was a great signing for Villa to get, because we were only just on our sort of journey under Unai Emery. So we'll go back to the images then. And again, I've highlighted the battle on that left-hand side, but we can see here John McGinn up against, I think it's Trippier, and he's just totally dominant, aggressive. That allows that little ball then to go into Ian Maatsen through that area. And this was the big one for me, guys. This was the big one. This was how we won this game. It was that overload on that right-hand side for Newcastle and our left-hand side. Watkins and John McGinn moving to the same space. And what that meant was Shaw had to follow Ollie Watkins because Newcastle were going man for man. That then enables space in those areas for players to be able to attack. And Villa were really dominant. And what happened from that nice little flick on, Ollie Watkins is then, we've got a 2v2. We're able to drive forward, gets his shot off, smashes the post or bar, and it just bounces out. So Villa, that tactic from Villa, you can see there, that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get into those areas and those zones. And Villa were pretty dominant, weren't we? But then we conceded. I think what we tried to do here is we tried to play a little bit of an offside. And I think Maatsen, you can see here, Maatsen has took a step out. He's sort of in front of Mings. Constance then the one that's further forward. And then he's able to get, a bit of a, he's able to get that run, isn't he? And he gets a header at sort of, well, it's in that area, isn't it, really? But I've seen a couple of things saying that Martinez was at fault for that. What were your thoughts? I mean, he's got a free header, really. I mean,
I think it's just
one of them.
all-round
It goes through
delivery.
it goes through his legs, but it's a free header. You know what I mean?
I mean, they always tell you, any striker will tell you, head the ball down. It's very hard for the keeper to get down that quickly from such a close range as well. It's just a really good ball in, and when you've got that, you're isolated one-on-one with a player the size of Shaw. I think it was Maatsen, was it? Who was at the back stick with? Then, it's very difficult. He's dropping right on his head. He's got a really good connection. He's 2 yards away from the keeper. He heads it down. If anything, Emery Martinez's reaction gets something on it and it slows it down. If he'd maybe been a millisecond quicker, he might have, blocked it. But it's, you're talking of really picking hairs, really, with this. I don't think it was an absolute howler. I think he would be probably disappointed, but his stakes are so high, he probably expects to save everything, doesn't he? So it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Maatsen, again, was just a threat all game. We can see in this area, this was the one that Asensio missed.
Oh.
Again, you'd say he should score, but Maatsen, a fantastic ball in and like absolutely incredible. But next up, what we've got to show you is this goal, which is absolutely fantastic. And for me, the most important player when a team go man for man is the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper is the one that is always spare. So you can't go man for man on the goalkeeper because you don't have enough players to do that. So when we were talking earlier about the goalkeeper and Martinez having a great game, like this is why, because as you can see, there'll be a player that's going to be going on to there. We've got there, we've got there, we've got there. we've got here, and then that spare player, once that ball has gone to Martinez, he's then being able to be pressed. But Martinez plays this lovely little dink ball into Morgan Rogers, and you can see, look how much space Rogers has got to be able to play this pass. But he plays this like really clever pass just right in front of Asensio, and then Asensio first time pings it out wide here to Ollie Watkins, and then you can see that Maatsen is then driving forward, busting a gut to get onto this. And it's just a wonderful finish, from there to pinpoint into the back of the net. But look how quick, dynamic, explosive, sharp that we've been able to just blitz and play through Newcastle. I think this might be one of my favourite goals of the season, Justin.
It was really good. And like I said, when I watched it again last night, I thought, wow, that's amazing. Yes, Emi Martinez, we all know that we like to draw teams onto us to create these overloads in midfield and allow our runners to get past people. And this one probably highlights it even more because usually Emi's inside his own box, but he's made the move to basically playing in sort of a third centre-back position there. And then he looks up and he doesn't just aimlessly lump one over the top, hoping someone's going to get on the end of it. He looks up and he picks a man out, which he does very, very often these days. And yes, it's just from that point onwards, it's all about the movement. Can you find your player? Is somebody moving for you? Is there an option for you? And yes, everybody picks the right option because the movement is incredible. And what you got, 1, 2, 3, 4 passes. And, I think one of them slides, he's got about 5 or 6 yards on the defender. He's got to make up, and the defender doesn't probably switch on as quickly as he should. The ball's perfectly rolled into him, and it's a wonderful finish for a defender. Like I said, full-backs nowadays have got to do everything. They haven't just got to defend; they've got to get forward and really supplement your attack. That cut back to Asensio that he was on about. There's loads of Newcastle defenders there, and he hasn't just got to the byline and aimlessly smashed it across goal. He's looked up and he's picked a player out, and it was just unlucky that he never, it got a foot on it. But the other really important part of this game plan for me, and you sort of touched on it, was McGinn playing in those further positions in the front, whether it's right, left, centre, which he's played in all of them. He plays like his ball retention for a short guy is incredible. We all know the John McGinn, stick your arse out and turn a player. But to have that ability to feed the ball into him and allow him to hold on to it, and then it allows the players to get up and get around him, and he's incredible at sort of turning a player, and then players know that he's going to hold on to it for 3-4 seconds, and that allows them then to make the runs past him. So it's just brilliant the way it's evolved, and we've got really good players in really important positions all over the pitch, and it just makes this team tick. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think John McGinn, he does need a special mention. He is playing now like Super John McGinn, which Emery would say is the McGinn version that he wants. But I think everybody's banging form, but I think McGinn's banging form now. And what I think is the reason why McGinn is so good is that he's just doing simple things very, very well, and he's executing everything well. Sometimes with McGinn, he'll play like an audacious pass and it won't come off, or he'll just play a pass that's not quite there. I think he's eradicated that now, and I think he's playing with purpose, and I think that's what you get with McGinn. We all know what he's good at, and he's just doing that very, very well at the minute. And I think that's just what we need from him. So McGinn, fantastic. Right. So this one, I'm telling you now, right, some things in football can massively get overlooked, and little moments are very, very important. Okay. So here we've got Onana on the ball, right? So Onana's on the ball and he plays, and this shows the importance of just a basic 5-yard pass. Because watch this. So currently, the passing lane to Ollie Watkins is being blocked off by Gomes. Onana and Maatsen are very, very clever because we play a nice little pass to Maatsen. Notice what happens. So that little pass to Maatsen is then passed back to Onana. We've created a better passing lane now, and this pass goes into Ollie Watkins. That little 5-yard pass enables the pass from Onana to be on to go to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins then plays the ball out wide to Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey drives forward, cuts the ball across. Dan Burn sticks it in the net, right? That is very, very good from Onana. Then what else is very, very good for Onana is the last goal, because Onana cuts the pass out, chests it, boom. Ball into Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans then plays that pass into Morgan Rogers. Rogers then starts cutting in, chopping left and right. But not only that, in this goal, not only that, once that ball gets saved, look who's there to retrieve it. Jacob Ramsey on it. I want this ball. We're first to react. We then play a nice little pass to Rogers. Rogers, little pass outside to Onana. The rest is history. 4-1, top corner, job done. And the final image I'm going to end on is this, right? This is what I'm going to end on. Newcastle have been absolutely run ragged. They haven't got a clue what to do now. They don't know who to go with. They don't know who to mark. Their shape is all over the place. All they can do is put all them players in the middle of the pitch to try and cut out and stop our midfield. Konsa plays that little dink over the top, and then that's where Ramsey's then hits the post. But what a game plan from Aston Villa. Absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to quickly show you now is I'm going to show you the average positions for Aston Villa, because what you'll be able to see is you'll be able to see this game plan of Aston Villa being a little bit more central in a little bit more detail. So average positions, you can see there's no right-hand side player. It was Morgan Rogers who was playing on the right. McGinn did go over there as well. But I want you to look at that sort of bottom right-hand side and notice where everybody's heat map had the biggest circle. So Rogers, it was against Trippier on that right-hand side. McGinn, heavy on that right-hand side. Asensio, right-hand side. Watkins, right-hand side, right? Right-hand side, Ian Maatsen. So Aston Villa completely targeted the right-hand side. The left, sort of attacking their sort of left-hand side. You can see that Cash did get forward in spells, but there wasn't really much on that sort of left-hand side from a Villa point of view. It was all heavy on that Tielemans, heavy on that right-hand side. So absolutely massive. And then finally, what I want to show you is something that's really important against Newcastle United. You have to win those duels, and look at Villa's duels. Watkins, 5 out of 11. Tielemans, 11 out of 16. Maatsen, 7 out of 11. Rogers, 4 out of 5. Asensio, 5 out of 10. Kamara, 4 out of 11. McGinn, 4 out of 9. Ramsey, 2 out of 5. Marlon, 1 out of 1. Rashford, 1 out of 2. Mings, 3 out of 6. Cash, 2 out of 5. And what I want to show you is now the Newcastle ones, right? No, and you spotted this, Justin, about Shaw, right? Newcastle, always heavy on their duels. Target, 9 out of 9. Shaw, 9 out of 5. Burn, where's Burn? 1 out of 5. Livramento, 5 out of 10. Trippier, 3 out of 7. So Villa were Guimaraes, 6 out of 14. So Villa dominant in those duels. Isak, 2 out of 6. And that just shows that Villa game plan, winning those battles. The momentum bar, Villa very heavy at the top, second half, dominant. And then if we go and have a look at this as well, which is quite telling as well. I thought when I saw this, when I was having a look at it, ground duels, Villa won 56% of theirs. Newcastle won 44. We've got aerials, they won 56. We won 44. Dribble success, Villa 64. Newcastle 56. Tackles won, Villa 79%. Newcastle 42%. You know, these numbers are so important to being able to beat Newcastle United. If we have a look at where Villa attacked, you can see it was all predominantly down that left-hand side. Hardly anything on that right side with this graphic here. So just a huge, huge win. And I think just in, you know, the biggest thing that we can talk about now, if we can find it, well, I'll find it, is the actual Premier League table. Because if you look at Aston Villa in the last 5 games, we are the most informed team right now. And this is the most important part of the season. So where do you think we are right now?
We're in an absolutely wonderful position. We've found ourselves, through hard work, dedication, tactical geniuses, a wonderful playing squad, a wonderful season up to now, in a position where we can strike. We have had ups and downs, we have had injuries and times when we've struggled, but it's coming together at the perfect time now. I think I said last night, this time last season we were properly running out of steam, weren't we? Last 3 games, 4 games, especially, and the last game of the season, we just absolutely fell apart. This season, we're not going to do that. They addressed that in January. We added reinforcements, we added quality, we've added depth, and we've now got a squad full of players that are absolutely ready for anything. And it's quite funny, really, that nobody's mentioning that we're playing 2 games a week at the moment, because we could play every day. They want to play all the time. They just want to play football. They can see what's coming. We've got 5 league games left, 6 league games left, and hopefully 2 FA Cup games. Conceivably, we're good enough to win every game. I thought last night, can we literally win every single game for the rest of the season? And at the moment, I can't see a reason why we couldn't. I just can't. I can't see a team that could live with us, can live with us at the moment. Huge test on Tuesday night. Yes, it's not the Man City of old, but it's going to be difficult. And, we'll be interested to see how we approach that one. But, we've put ourselves right smack bang in the hunt now for another Champions League campaign next season, which, as we all know, is huge for every single part of the aspect of the football club financially. Retention of players, buying new players, convincing people this is the place to come and play football. We are finally back where we belong.
Yeah, we are. And I think +6 goal difference, that's
important.
totting up a little bit. If we can just keep that, just get that a little bit higher, that will be great as well. And we're in fantastic position. We've hunted teams down. We're banging form. And yeah, this is why I think yesterday was so important, because Newcastle were, along with us, the most informed team in the league. So they were playing the best football, dismantling everybody. They are super, super good. Like, they are a very, very good team as well. And we were able to do that to a team that is challenging. And the biggest thing that I'll say is, like, when I've been watching, like, certain, like, I don't know, certain things of, like, who's got the tougher running, and it's like, oh, Villa's running is, like, right up there, like, oh, like, they've got this team, that team. We've beat every single team that is in and around us in the last couple of weeks. We've beat Brighton, we've beat Forest, we've beat Newcastle. So all of this, we've got we are beating the teams that are in and around us, and that is the most important part of it. And then, you look at the end of the season, and I don't want to get too far ahead, right? But take away the name of those teams. Our last two games of the season, right, are against 15th and 14th in the league. Do you know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is that, like, people are saying it's Spurs. No, they're 14th and 15th for a reason. And if it was any other season, you're playing 14th and 15th at the end of the season, you're going, oh, we've got a great chance in them last 2 games. So, yeah, I think we've put ourselves in a great position now. We've just got to keep going. You can tell that the whole squad are just so, like, mentally in tuned to succeed. And that's pleasing in itself as well. So, yeah, absolutely love it. Everybody, enjoy your weekend. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.